Hello, Craftin' buddies. So I tried really hard to get on here at 11 o'clock and didn't quite make it. It's pretty close. This is Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting, and Late Night Lori is going to do take two of this beautiful blues kit. I love the colors. If you looked at my last video, I made the cards basically how the kit intended. I'm just trying to get my tablet up here. And I don't know if that cord is visible. Hopefully not. That doesn't look like it. So anyway, I did these last night. I actually did all three of these without even really thinking about it. But they're beautiful cards. And I love the gems on here. They're faceted gems that have like some shimmer in them. They're really pretty. Here was another card. Now I didn't do any Wink Stella on these, although I did think that that would be pretty fun. And then here's the last one. And with these, it seems like a shame to hide this on the back. So I know that I'm going to cut these up. Here's another one where the back is just, it's a shame that it's going to be hidden. So this is more of that first card, just laid out slightly different. So let me get those out of the way. How is everybody this Sunday night, May 18th? I'm doing pretty good. We worked out in the yard. I had some people over crafting today. And then my husband made some popcorn, which is a little bit why I'm late. So let's just go ahead and cut these down. I'm just going to cut them on the score line to start with. And I can always cut them down into layers. I have absolutely no idea what's going to turn out. Fifi, hello. I have no idea how these are going to turn out. So as we go along, if you have some suggestions, let me know. All right. These, I don't know what we'll do. They're so pretty. We'll see. Let's go ahead and cut these in half as well. And we'll at least have some little bits. Now these pieces, to me, kind of look like a stormy sky. I think that would work really well with that new sailboat one. Let me see what that one is. Hello, Lori. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. So sailing or sunrise sailing. I think something with this would look pretty fun. So I'm not sure if I'll touch these tonight other than cutting them in half. I know that I'm going to use them for something. All right. And then these two, I am going to snip off the frames because the frame just isn't really doing it for me right now. And then what I can do is maybe cut out some parts of them. We'll see. And if I mess it up too bad, I have another kit. Or I can get more where these came from. I know a person that I can order from. All right, myself. So it's Mount St. Helens Day today. I did not know that, Fifi. I remember, though, receiving some Mount St. Helens ash in 1980 as a gift. And I'd have to look back on some history. I don't remember when. Oh, May 18th of 1980. Okay. Yeah, I received just a little jar. It wasn't even like a touristy sort of thing. I got it in August. And of all things, it was a wedding gift at the time, which I thought was a little odd, but you know, it is what it is. So I think this is actually prettier without the frame. What do you think? Yeah, Fifi, I couldn't remember if you were in Washington or Montana. So Washington. I'll try to remember that. I'm not always good at that sort of thing. And I don't know if I'm going to use this at all. There's some little nubs on here, so I'm just going to kind of throw that out of the way. And since I'm at it, I may as well just cut this one down as well because I like it better out of the frame than in the frame. And I'll try not to be too crazy long tonight. I always say that, oh, this will be a quick card, and then it takes forever. Yeah, aren't these flowers pretty outside of the frame? I know they're pretty inside the frame too, but to me they were just kind of hidden with that background. I don't know. I think they would look nicer in another format, so we'll see. No offense to the creative artists that designed it. This is really one of my favorite kits. Oh, you're really close to Canada. I had no idea. I would have to look at a map as far as cities probably outside of my Midwest area or states I've traveled to. And I have not been to Washington State, I don't think, unless we did a few years ago when we had gone out to Yellowstone. I don't know. Yes, this kit is gorgeous. So I'm going to get rid of that. Now I did cut a couple of thick basic white card bases. So I'm doing these, I think they call this hot dog. I call it landscape. So we've got our 11, 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, but I also put a score here at, so if we do 4 1/2 and then 5 1/2, because I wanted to make a bookbinding fold. Hello from Australia, Colleen. Every once in a while I get some Australia folks because I think it's like supper time by you, isn't it? Like 6 p.m. Is it Monday for you? I don't remember my time zones. So I think we're just going to make a bookbinding card somehow with this. But I might use some ribbon. Ooh, I should show you some new ribbon. This might look really pretty on there. This is an upcoming product. Silver edged ribbon. Oh, close to Mount Rainier. See, Lori, I've known you for a while and I still learn lots of new things. Lori and I went painting Friday night. We had a good time. So I might want to do something like this. But I probably should have done that. We'll do another card that's not a bookbinding fold. But like this one, I think if I cut it down, that's not quite the right color to me. So I think what I'm going to do is take off 3/4 of an inch here, because my bookbinding margin here is an inch. So I'm going to take it to, I'll take it to 4, 5, 6, 7/8. 7/8 of an inch. And we're going to put this here. And then we'll have this here. But I also want to cut this down a little bit more because I want to have kind of a tile effect. So let's see what we want to do. Let's just do a bunch of 7/8 inch. Now normally when I'm doing about an inch, I usually go off to the right hand side so that I'm on the right hand side of the track because I'm left-handed and it makes it easier for me to cut things. You gals talk amongst yourselves. I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments. All right, so Colleen in Australia, it's 2:15 tomorrow afternoon for me because we're still on Sunday. it's 7/8. And then we'll just have a little slit here. I don't know if we'll use this or not. Hopefully I kept these kind of in order. Now we could do something just like this. But I actually kind of thought I wanted to do square tiles, maybe rectangle tiles. Or we could just kind of go something like this and mix them up. What do you think? What do you think, gals? I have to take my sweatshirt off. It's too warm in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these all this way. I'm going to keep them lined up because I kind of like that. So let's do, this is going to be a lot of little pieces. So if we take an inch, let's do like 1.5 inches. We'll just see what happens. All even, yeah. I did some other cards where I had them kind of offset. Now I need to pay attention. I'm going to move these out of the way. I need to pay attention and keep these in order so that I can kind of keep the design intact. So we'll just do 1.5 inches on all of these. And I might trim them down a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how it lines up. Oops. No, I did mess them up anyway, so I think I'm going like this. There we go. Because I did them in reverse order. Lori, I would never call you boring just because you like them in a line. Sometimes I like to just go out of my comfort zone, which is usually everything all lined up. Oops. And I guess we'll have to cut this one too so that they're all, and I wouldn't have to, I suppose. That can be our book binding. All right, so let's just start laying these out here. Line them up. And then I'll end up having to trim some of these. I did this once where I had some clear embossing powder, and I embossed, once I had them all stuck on the page, I put Versamark over all the pieces and put clear embossing powder on it, and it looked like ceramic tile. Yeah, and then I ran out of, or almost ran out of, all of my clear embossing powder, so then they stopped selling it just that. Where you could just buy the clear embossing powder as an individual. Now you have to get them in sets. I don't know if I like that. What do you ladies think? I might have to think on that one. Because if I trim this down, then I could put another piece inside that would kind of offset it. All right. Okay, so Lori, you're talking about eggs. I have chickens. And when I saw Lori the other day, I gave her some eggs because my chickens lay great eggs. All right, let's get this out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this down. Because sometimes you just have to make that move and commit. We'll see what happens. But I like how this edge piece goes all the way from the top to the bottom. And maybe that's what I'll do with all of these. I'm going to start with that center row. And kind of line it up where that flower belongs. Is that where it belongs? Yeah. And I'm just going to leave that space here where I've got my score line for my book binding fold here. Put a strip next to the full strip and shift the others to the right. Well, my design, if I leave this one full and shift it over, my design won't match. And that might make me go a little crazy, I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. I could have left one of these full so that I had, oh, maybe you mean, oh, I don't shift the others to the right. I'm not sure. We'll see how it looks. I'm sure it'll end up being pretty just because the paper is so pretty. And I'm just leaving a little bit of border in between those. So I might be able to put that little strip on the end. I need to shift this. I didn't have it quite in the right place before the glue sets. And that's just not going to be big enough. I think that actually went like this. I think that's going to look silly. But anyway, let's keep going. If I put these down here, then I can just trim what hangs over the edge of the card. And we'll see how it looks. We'll put a sentiment on there somehow, and we're just winging it. And I think, yep, that one will go there. I do like it with the lighter colored cardstock. I just think those flowers needed something to make them pop. Because on the darker background, they just didn't stand out enough to me. And it kind of reminds me of like that, I think it's like Delft. Is it Delft glass? I think that piece goes there. Cloud cover would probably look pretty too, yeah. Because you've got the grayish blue in there, which is pretty close to cloud cover. I can go pull a piece of that and just see what it looks like. And what I think I'm going to do is, where did I, so if this was here, what did I do with my last piece that was there? Because I might just end up, oh, that's right, because this is like off the back. Here we go. That's the same design. So I have this piece. What I could do is just trim this off of here and then use this for another card. I think I'll do that. So let's see how much we've got on here. So that's 3/4 of an inch. So I'll do a little less than 3/4 of an inch and see how it looks. So I can just put that there. The design isn't quite the same. Oh, that's from there. Somehow I wonder if I missed a row somehow. I don't know what I did. Who knows? We'll figure it out though. Yeah, I thought about slicing off that little piece of the white. And then I could always put either Night of Navy or Misty Moonlight or something on the inside too as a layer for the inside. And I'll have to trim some of these edges because they're a little over the page, over the edge of the card. I should have probably planned ahead a little bit better. I might have thrown that piece off to the right. But this piece is the same as like this one here. So I don't know. There had to have been more, so maybe it is. There it is. Thank you. We'll put that with that. Yep, there it is. Or is it? Oh, I think that belonged there. That row should be over there. I probably threw out the wrong one. Do you think anybody would notice? Probably. I wonder if I can peel these off. They're probably adhered too tight. All right, well, we're going to go with it. So this would have been in here, in between here, but I tossed the wrong piece. Don't tell anybody. All right. So we're going to go ahead and trim off just a little bit here. And I always like to start at the bottom and push my blade up. And that way just one side of my blade is getting dull, and then when it doesn't cut nice anymore, then I take it out and I flip it around. But I almost always go from the bottom to the top. All right, so then let's see. If I did this, that could probably work, don't you think? When that's close like that. What do you think? All right, you ladies can think on that. And I'm just going to trim these edges here. See, now you can see like the behind the scenes and why sometimes I'm late, because I'm trying to come up with something that I think will look nice instead of just winging it. Thank you, Lori. Maybe we'll go ahead and try that. And then we need to come up with our sentiment, but there's some labels here. So if I do this here, I think nobody will really realize that I didn't carry through the design right. It just kind of looks like it belongs that way. This is a little wider here though, so I'm just going to kind of trim this by hand, I think, to make it look like it belongs better. Hopefully I can cut straight. Sometimes I can, sometimes not so much. Well, so here's the thing, Fifi. I started doing this every night at the start of Celebration. And it was one of those things where I needed to just do something a little bit different. And I was actually trying to grow my Facebook following so that I could do lives there again. Because what happened was Facebook changed their rules, which they do pretty regularly, it seems. But anyway, they changed their rules so that you had to have 100 followers to go live. Now, I used to be able to go live, and I would from time to time, but I didn't have 100 people following me on my Facebook page. I never really pushed it. You know, I had a few friends and that. And it's hard to get enough people to follow you on Facebook. And then when they changed it that I couldn't do lives anymore, I thought, well, maybe I should just go do lives on YouTube. So I started doing lives on YouTube, and it's pretty much become a habit. Now this is a little off, so I could leave it or I could trim it. I'll trim that later, all right? So I think what I want to do is, I don't want to cover up all the things. We could do something like that. We could actually cover up one of the squares, one of the rectangles. I think I like it better with the little foliage behind there. What do you think? You think something like that? Upsides or sideways? What do you think? So anyway, we'll center that a little bit more. So anyway, what ended up happening was I started doing these lives on Facebook, and I am in a couple of accountability groups with Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to spread those out so I can get more of the effect of the foliage. See what I did there? I just took that piece, so this piece here, and instead of keeping it intact, I cut it so that I could spread it out. And who wants to waste it? Yeah, doesn't it look better with the foliage? So now I just have to find a sentiment that I like. And let's see, there's some that go up and down. Huh, I wonder if that one would fit. I think that one might be too big. Where did it go now? Yep, that's definitely, that one's too wide. I was looking at this one that says, I know a good thing when I see it, and I see lots of good things in you. You're so kind. That one will work. You're so kind would work in there. So let's go ahead and mount this stamp. Have I shown you, ladies? Have you watched me show how I mount my clear stamps? You like it sideways, huh, Fifi? So the only thing with it sideways is that then I can see these little lines up here. And to me, that's a little distracting. Now I could go a little higher. That might work. And then I'll just have to play with where I put my little foliage pieces. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I mount my stamps. If you've already seen it before, I apologize. All right, but I take the sticker off the sheet, okay? So this one is the You're So Kind, all right? So then what I do is I set back the corners of the adhesive because it's sticky on both sides. And I put it on my block and press it down, and then I take these pieces off. And then with the red rubber piece, I peel off that backing. Hopefully you ladies can't see how very dry my skin is. We're working out in the yard. So this one is You're So Kind, so I'm going to flip that over, and I'm actually going to get a darker background so it's easier to see. And then I take my block with the sentiment on it. Hopefully I don't have too much of a shadow on here. But then I lay it down right on the piece of red rubber. So there's my stamp. It's all mounted now, okay? And then they're almost always nice and straight for me. So let's go ahead and do this. I need to get, let's see for sure what color we've got here. Night of Navy. So let me go grab my Night of Navy. A little bit of dust on there. And I'm just going to get a scrap piece out to make sure that this is going to stamp good. Now when I go into my ink, I just lightly go tap, tap, tap. I don't like to go squish, 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 because I don't like to end up with like this. I pushed a little too hard. Hopefully you can see that where I just squished too much ink on there. So let's go ahead and kind of clean that off. That was my warm-up, so let's see. Sometimes when I do my classes too, I tell the people stamping with me to try it like this, where you just tap your ink down on the stamp instead of putting your stamp onto the ink, especially with the red rubber ones. And I'm just looking to see if it's straight along the edge because sometimes they're cut a little crooked. Especially with the red rubber ones, you can't see through them. So it's a little more challenging to make things straight. And then I just hold it on there for a few seconds so the paper can absorb the ink. So let me close this down so that I don't get blue ink all over. And we're going to put a little bit of seal on these edges here. And I'm just using the regular seal, not the Seal Plus. And I got a little smudge on here. Might not be able to see that, but that's going to be where a gem goes. So that can go there. This can kind of go here. Oh, and I was going to do it sideways, huh? Or up and down. No, I was going to do it sideways, wasn't I? Well, here, let's do another one. We'll see how it looks. Because I can always use it for another card. So I'm just going to go tap, tap, tap. That might actually look better on the label with that sentiment too. We'll just do it both ways and we'll see. We'll see what looks good. And then I still need to do some things with that ribbon because I am determined to use that. So now if I'm going to do it this way, I might want to cut this instead of up and down. We'll just cut it like this. Because then I can put some over here and some over here. And then we'll put that up on dimensionals. Oops, it's kind of getting hung up on me. I'll put that up on dimensionals in just a second, once we decide which one we really like. All right, time to vote. Yes, I am going to pop it up, Lori. So, sideways, and I don't know if I want it hanging over the edge because those pieces are kind of fragile, so they'll probably get ruined. So if we move it over, like sideways, I think it needs to be almost more in the center of the card. So there's landscaped. Try lower. But then we cover up all the flowers here. And you see more of just the plain blue. And if I put the dimensionals on now, that might help visualize what it's going to look like once it's on the card too. Either way, I'll be able to use these sentiments. And maybe one in the middle for good measure. All right. All right, so Fifi, you think it looks better lower. So the big rose is highlighted then instead of these little poppies or whatever they are. All right, so there's that one. Down lower, which does give it a good balance because all of the white is on the bottom of the card. And up there, we'd have to kind of see, those are gonna, you know what I could do, if we do it sideways, I could cut this little sprig off. So let's not let that distract me too much. So higher, I think Fifi, you're right. I think lower is better on that one. Anybody else want to chime in? And then we have this one. And I think that it takes the place of a whole rectangle. So what are we thinking? Landscape or portrait? Speak now. So you, Fifi, you like this one with the up and down? Or landscaped? Oh, we might have lost. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you like them both. Well, that doesn't really help, does it? Of course, you know, I could always put this one on here when I make another card. So I'll set those off to the side. Let's go ahead and put this on. because I think that's going to work. Oh, so now we got, Lori says you like it portrait. Well, Lori, I think you're going to have to wait for the next card because I already tossed it off to the side. Sorry. So sorry. Up and down. Okay, let's make up our minds. We got 2 for portrait and 1 for landscape. All right. Portrait. Up and down. Or landscape. Knowing that I'm going to cut that little snip off there. That's okay. It does. Oh, that looks nice as well. Well, I already peeled these off, so we're going to do this one. All right. So we're going to do this. We're going to kind of center it along there. I think that's pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to, there's a little nub here that looks like a mistake, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to get rid of this little nub here because it's hanging over the side of the card. And let's just smooth that out a little bit. It's sometimes a little challenging when I can't put my head closer to it because I am nearsighted. Okay. And then I see a little nub on the bottom of here that you probably can't even see, but I know it'll make me a little crazy because I don't like nubs on my things because I don't want to make it, I don't want it to look like it was a cutout or a punch out. Okay. So let's get this out of here and then let's do this ribbon because I think the ribbon, while it'll hide the rose a little bit, oh, and that's going to mess up the design for what Fifi was suggesting. I guess we'll do the ribbon maybe on this one. So we can have this here and I'll do ribbon on the side of that one or maybe with one of these. Isn't this ribbon gorgeous? Can you see all the shimmer on there? That's gorgeous. So anyway, all right. So let's finish this card here. And let's put some of these gems on. Or should we just use some, can't use opal. We can use some of these, just basic rhinestones. So these kind of pick up the tone of the paper. Let me see if I can find one of my other cards. So these kind of pick up the tone of the paper underneath, even though they look much lighter here. So you can see where they look pretty light. Once you put them down on the paper and they're not getting that just air behind them, they get a little darker. So the gems that came with the kit or rhinestone basic jewels. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one should go on the card? Okay, we're going to do the rhinestones because I'm not seeing any responses. Is that ribbon from the pre-order? It is. It is, Fifi. Are you doing that? The rhinestones. Colleen, are you a demonstrator? So who else is? Fifi, are you doing the creativity now? Oh, Fifi, you're not a demonstrator. Okay, I thought you were. Lori, did you sign up for it? Lori's on my team. But yes, this is really pretty. So I don't remember. Oh, you're not doing that event. Okay, I get it. I don't remember when they're releasing this. But it is really pretty. It might be the mini catalog. If anybody knows, pipe in. Okay. So let's go ahead and just get some rhinestones on here. Now I have some that I colored already. So I think I'm going to use these because they're bluish already, but they're a dark blue. And I'm going to put like 5 of them on here because why not? It's still an odd number. So What do you think of that? And then what I'll do is I'm going to glue this down because I was going to put the ribbon around here and then affix the ribbon here and put it down so that you wouldn't see the ends. But since we're not doing it that way, I'm just going to go ahead and attach this down. My glue bottle is almost empty, so I'm going a little crazy with the glue bottle. All right, so we'll put that down there. Colleen, that's how I started too. I started out as what we call around here a kit napper. I just wanted the deal at the time, and I wasn't really interested in doing videos and classes and all that stuff. And I lost the cover to my take your pick tool. It'll turn up when I clean up my mess. So I was a kit napper. I had no intention of doing anything else, and just taking advantage of the discount. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think the vast majority of demonstrators are actually hobby demonstrators, if that's what you want to call them. But I don't think there's anything wrong with using the discount. All right. So the other thing that I'm going to do with this is I will put in another piece here. And I think I'm going to put this over here because I like how that looks on the inside. It kind of gives it a little balance. But I'll put another piece in here just to have another layer so that it can kind of like paper piece up to here. And just look a little more finished. I like that. So the last thing I want to do is add some Wink of Stella because everything's a little bit better with some Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to color some of these petals here. And we'll highlight that rose a little bit. And I'm not just swirling over the whole thing because I do want there to be some separation here. And I'm just kind of turning this a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick it across my card. So I've kind of got a diagonal of shimmer. I think I lean a little bit more. And you may not be able to see that very well on the video. And I don't know if you can even see it depending on how the light is. But it's got a nice shimmer all the way across here and all the way across that that sentiment focal piece. And I'm going to put a little mini dimensional under there because it's sticking up a little bit. And I want it to be protected, and this is big enough for dimensional. All right. So I've already been on here way longer than I thought I would be. Thank you all for joining me. It's fun when there are people interacting with me. I love having the exchange on here. My husband, when he goes back and looks at it, he'll say, 50 minutes, are you kidding me? Because he watches through them. And sometimes he'll, excuse me, he'll even watch when I'm videoing. And I had my mic on, a cordless mic, a Bluetooth mic. And he came in and popped his head in and is like, yeah, there's no sound. So I had stopped that one. So he helps me with some of my production issues. So, all right. Now, one last thing is we'll go ahead and match this envelope with that card here. And I think we're good to go. I will finish this later. I am going to put this on the inside because I just think it looks better. And then I'll put another inset piece here with something on it if I can find another stamp set. Lori's been to my stamping space. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Fifi. I love it. Thank you so much. And if you share it, I love that too. I always like having new people pop in. What was I going to say? Lori's been to my crafting space and she knows that I've got just a boatload of stamp sets. So I think I can probably find something with a very similar font, hopefully that says something nice that I'll put inside. So that, thanks, Lori. That's all I'm going to do tonight. Just this one card because it took me longer than I thought it would. It's almost midnight here and I am going to be doing some traveling tomorrow. So I need to get some sleep and finish packing and make sure that I don't forget anything on my to-do list. So thank you so much for stopping in. I love all the little hearts and the likes that I'm getting. I really appreciate that. And while I'm gone, I will still try to do some late night Lori episodes. So stay tuned. Happy crafting, everybody.